Hi, my name is Tim. I'm a parishioner here at St. John the Baptist Orthodox Church in Warren, Ohio. I've only been a member here since December of 2022. My wife, a couple of years ago, started thinking about becoming an Orthodox Christian. She was looking into a lot of things about the Orthodox faith online. We weren't happy with where we were attending church at the time because it wasn't really centered around anything that had to do with Christianity or God or anything like that. And I know she was feeling like she needed something else. So she started coming to this church. From what I knew of the Orthodox faith, I didn't know if it was Jewish, if it was Catholic, if it was a combination of the two. I knew it really couldn't have been Jewish because, it's centered around Jesus Christ. So I figured, okay, is it just a supersized Catholic service? I really didn't know. She came 2 or 3 visits on her own, and she told me about how she really enjoyed it. And so I told her, I said, you know what? I'll go to a service with you. And this was about the time of what was, I would say traditional Easter on the calendar. So I was like, great, I'll go for the Easter service. We came only to find out that it wasn't the Easter service. It was actually Palm Sunday. Their actual Easter service was going to be the following week. Came into the church, and the minute I set foot in the church, I had this overwhelming feeling of warmth. Just, the kind of warmth that you feel when you're in the embrace of somebody who's really showing you a lot of love. We came in, we sat down, and as I'm looking at the icons and on the iconostasis and at the icon of Jesus up on the ceiling, when I look up at that icon, that pull just got even stronger. It was like that icon was a magnet and I was steel. It was just drawn. I just couldn't take my eyes off of it. Everything about the church, just all my senses seemed to be like on overload. And then once the service started, it was definitely different than any other church service I had ever been to. And not different in a bad way, just different I just had this feeling like, this is what church should have been for me since I was a child. This was a place I was supposed to be. And then we, had our coffee hour afterwards. And I was still okay, this was the service that I promised I would come to. I wasn't thinking about coming back. Father Brian Cravella came and he sat with us and really didn't talk much about church. He was very personable, just, wanted to get to know me, a little bit about me and everything. And I made the statement to him, I was like, Father, this is all nice and everything, but, with me, I'm the original doubting Thomas. I won't say I didn't believe, we'll just say I didn't properly respect what Christianity was. As I was telling him this, his lips kind of curled up a little bit, and he was just looking at me, and he finally, after I was done, he said, well, that's fair. I'm not going to try to pull you in. You're welcome here anytime. You want to come to a service, you're more than welcome. And I was like, okay, that's probably the worst sales pitch I've ever heard, only to find out that that was what I needed. I didn't need somebody pressuring me because I was feeling that pull as it was. It was natural. I didn't need something unnatural coming in, trying to make it more than what it was. On our way home, I told my wife, I was like, well, I kind of promised you the Easter service. Do you want to come for the Easter service on Saturday night? And she was like, well, absolutely, I want to come. I said, okay, I will come with you, and then I probably won't come back with you after that. And I got to tell you, when we came back that Saturday, as soon as we walked in that door, it was like I could not wait to get in and get into the pew. That was how much stronger the pull was when we came in for that service. And the feeling of warmth, like I said, it was just like being embraced by a loved one, saying, You're here now. We're going to take care of you. The side of the church I was sitting on, I had a really good view of the icon of St. Paul. And in a lot of ways, I felt a little bit like Saul of Tarsus. And I feel like I'm making my, metamorphosis from that Saul of Tarsus into that Paul the apostle. I'm not saying that I'm an apostle. I'm not saying that, but I can understand now why his change of heart was as strong as it was, because it was happening to me. I knew one of the parishioners here from outside of the church, and at one point during the service, I stepped out from it. He was standing out there, and he said, "I'll bet you never thought you would find yourself in a place like this." And I said, "Oh, I could have told you I would have never come to a place like this, but I'm so glad now that I'm here." And he just kind of looked at me like it wasn't the answer he was expecting. But he went with it. He was like, "Well, we'll talk about it later." But that was also the night, the blessing of the baskets, and after the service, because it was the Pascha service, we didn't bring a basket, but we went back into the social hall. Just the generosity of everybody back there. One of the parishioners, him and his wife, had brought a beautiful basket with all kinds of great stuff. And he looked up, he's like, "Hey, get over here, we're gonna make you a plate." And they just loaded us up. When we got out to the car, I was like, I couldn't wait for the next week. I love being here. I feel like I belong here. I want to do more here. I want to serve here because it helps me feel complete. This to me felt like what Christianity is supposed to be. The service that I feel I come to every Sunday is the same service that I feel I would have attended in a cavern in the Middle East somewhere, hiding from Roman soldiers back in the 30s AD. God bless my wife for finding our spiritual home. I probably wouldn't be here without her and would still be struggling without that rudder. Everybody wants that all-in-one tool. This is it. This is that all-in-one tool. And all Jesus says is, "Come in and let me help you use it." I opened myself up when I felt that warmth. I opened myself up when I saw how much better my wife felt being in this church and how much better I felt being in this church. And once I allowed myself to open up, Jesus Christ did the rest.